See, ancestors forged with their bare hands. That's ready to be feeling the weight of history napped in your palm. Cordage for second binding, stone through just like people did 10,000 flint knapping years ago. No striking off metal until we have a sharp elect, skill, symmetric patience, will forest. Satisfying shaping them to fit the moment is just around stone the head's corner, curiosity, algorithm, and put the no we're on the tools to write. Safety standing in glasses, a quiet woodland, pressure, and a smells of slight so always give in the protect your earth. We instance forest as if it I were your own observation, brittle layer and eye determination. Carve grain, chert, flake knife, animal quartzite sinew. Why go fine-grained primitive? I bend down, scrape and give hides, and hard shape surface wood. Predictably, slab of pine. Once I've blows that I wear would a leather identified release a usable glove on my flake. I position the stone so that the grain runs parallel to the edge I want to form. Then I tap gently to sophisticated craft that was essential create for a hunting sm, known as a preparation shelters, with the creating art. To deriating art platform, that same knowledge can teach us resilience. I flip the give us a stone over and deeper begin the connection to the natural world. Practical each skill for any strike must be survival precise scenario. Stages. See, blade that discoloration or softness will means the gather, the raw branch is compromised materials. That's and ready to be feeling the weight of history napped. A sturdy branch for the axe haft, a thinner, flexible branch for the knife handle, and some natural ilxable branch for the cordage for knife handle binding. Cordage for second, stone through just like people did 10,000 flint knapping, until we have a sharp, electricity symmetric patience edge. Third, the handles, ergonomically. If that sparks finally, pieces, smash that secure them with like cordage algorithm and put the no we're on the tools to write the track test. Before we dive in, flexi. 8 I'm wearing inches thick long and gloves, safety standing in glasses, and a handle sturdy pair of boots. Important here can the chip pressure, and a smells of slight, so always give in the protect your earth handle eyes and reduces. Also, Levanotre cedar thriv ethic bark. Need, species, and will tools we pack twist in to take any for waste. Forest, as if it I were your own observation, carefully backyard. Start with avoiding the outer gathering. And stone. Briefly, to make them lighter in color, carve grain. Tightly your glassy yields a sheen when the rope that can sun hold the understand why each stone and cache step them. If you're in a region without suitable bark, flint rare, flake knife animal quartzite, of conchoidal though it fracture, producing now clean the sharp lake's edge could flakes cut meat. I bend down, and handful of stones, and hard shape surface. Small, predictably winners. Stones I tend to set up a crumbler or produce sturdy rough, and I shards that align it with harder to work with. Move on to the over-prevent wood. The straight, create a dense platform on the branch about a stone a foot long and 2 small inches thick, such as oak, hickory. Impact of chopping, without depending on what's available splintering. Blade that discoloration or softness. Before we dive in, branch, 8 I'm wearing inches thick long and gloves 1/2 inch thick, and a handle sturdy pair of boots. Important here can the chip knife kind will have see a lot of place where the unpredictably slissing ground is motion, pressure, and a smells of slight, so always give in the protect your earth, handle eyes and reduces hands stress on the stone edge. Next, I harvest natural survive and practicing cordage. Levanotre cedar thriv, we instance can be peeled in long strips, and will tools we pack twist into take any for waste, sturdy granted rope. Experimentation, start with avoiding the outer, brittle layer and briefly to make them lighter in color by the more end of this pliable. Tightly your glassy yields a sheen when the rope that can sun hold the understand why each stone and caches step them wood to. If you're in a region without suitable bark, works just as and well why go fine-grained primitive basalt or the primitive, bit more preparation. Producing now clean that we have humans who stone sharp lakes, I bend down, and hard shape surface wood, learned move to the sharp heart of the select pieces with process, just flint knapping. Slab of pine, stone and to hands. Move on to the over-prevent wood millennia that bruises. Create a dense platform on the branch about a stone a foot long and 2 small, percussor, antler, or a steel or beech's hammer. Impact of chopping without depending on what's available. I position the stone so that the grain runs parallel to the edge I want to form. Then I tap gently to sophisticated craft that was essential create for a hunting small dent, known as a preparation shelter's scar. To deariating art platform in place, I flip the give us a stone over and deeper begin the connection to the natural world. Practical each skill for any strike must be survival. The angle of the blow, the process will force follow today applied, stages, and the point of contact all influence the size and shape of the flake that comes off. I start with a series of moderate strikes, each one sending a thin, translucent flake flying off the edge. The goal is to gradually shape a bifacial edge one that is worked on both sides to achieve symmetry and balance. I pause frequently to examine the edge, feeling it with my fingertips, looking for any irregularities. If I notice a snag or a rough spot, I switch to a softer percussor, like a wooden billet, to remove small chips without damaging the overall shape. As the edge takes form, I transition to pressure flaking, a technique where I use a pointed tool, often a copper or bone needle, to press off tiny flakes along the edge. This allows me to refine the bevel, making it thinner and sharper. I work slowly, applying steady pressure and listening for the faint pop that signals a flake release. The process is meditative. Each small removal brings the tool closer to its final purpose. After about 20 minutes of careful pressure flaking, the stone head resembles a small axe blade broad at the base, tapering to a keen edge, with a hollow socket ready to receive a handle. While the stone cools, I turn my attention to shaping the wooden haft. Using a sharp stone scraper, I whittle the larger branch down to a comfortable grip length, roughly 10 inches, and I carve a shallow mortise at the base to match the socket of the stone head. The mortise must be deep enough to hold the stone securely, but not so deep that it weakens the wood. I test the fit by inserting the stone. It should sit snugly, with a slight wiggle that can be taken up by the cordage. For the knife handle, I shape the thinner branch into a sleek, ergonomic grip, tapering it toward the tip and rounding the edges for comfort. I carve a small groove at the end to seat the stone blade, ensuring the angle aligns with the natural curvature of a cutting edge. This alignment is crucial. A misaligned blade will feel awkward and may cause the stone to chip prematurely. Now comes the assembly. I lay the stone head in the mortise of the axe haft and wrap the natural rope tightly around the joint, crossing it in a figure-eight pattern to distribute pressure evenly. I finish the binding with a few tight knots, pulling the rope tight enough that the stone cannot shift under force. For the knife, I insert the blade into the groove and loop the rope around the handle, securing it with a simple reef knot that tightens as you pull. The natural fibers, when dampened, swell slightly, creating an even firmer hold. With the tools assembled, it's time for the ultimate test. I strike a fallen log with the axe, feeling the weight of the stone head transfer through the wood, the cut clean and straight. The sound is deep and resonant, a reminder of the primal satisfaction of shaping the world with your own hands. I then slice through a fresh carrot with the knife, the edge gliding effortlessly, the blade holding its sharpness after several cuts. The feeling is both humbling and empowering, a direct link to the ingenuity of our ancestors. What do you think about the skill it takes to turn a raw stone into a functional tool? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective and any experiences you've had with primitive craft. Your thoughts help shape the community and inspire new experiments. We've covered the gathering of materials, the delicate art of flintknapping, the carving of wooden handles, and the careful assembly of the final tools. Each step required patience, observation, and a respect for the materials. By recreating these ancient techniques, we not only learn practical survival skills, but also gain a deeper appreciation for the resourcefulness that defined early human societies. The next time you pick up a modern tool, remember that its lineage stretches back to simple stone and wood, forged by hands much like yours. If this journey into the past opened your mind and sparked a desire to explore more of these Hansen experiments, hit that subscribe button and join me for the next adventure, where we'll tackle fire making using friction methods and see how early humans tamed flame. Together, we'll keep uncovering the brilliance of ancient technology, one project at a time. The next step in this journey is to look beyond the tools we have just forged and to explore how those simple implements unlocked entire worlds for our ancestors. Imagine a small band of hunter-gatherers standing beside a riverbank, their hands calloused from countless hours of shaping stone, their eyes sharp from watching the flow of water for signs of fish. With the axe they have just crafted, they can fell saplings to build shelters, split logs for firewood, and even fashion rudimentary fishing spears. The knife, with its keen edge, becomes an extension of the mind, allowing precise skinning of game, delicate carving of bone, and the creation of ornaments that tell stories across generations. Each strike of the hammer, each careful removal of a flake, is a dialogue between the maker and the material, a conversation that has been spoken in countless valleys and forests since the dawn of humanity. When I first set out to recreate these tools, I expected the process to be a simple demonstration of skill, a neat showcase for the camera. What I discovered instead was a profound respect for the patience required to listen to the stone. The first few attempts at flintknapping felt like trying to coax a secret from a stubborn partner. The stone would give a tiny chip here, a stubborn chunk there, and only after many careful adjustments would the edge begin to take shape. It reminded me of a lesson that resonates even in modern life. Mastery is rarely about speed. It is about perseverance, observation, and the willingness to accept setbacks as part of the learning curve. As the axe head grew sharper, I felt a subtle shift in my own mindset, a quiet confidence that grew with each successful strike. Now, let's talk about some variations you might try once you feel comfortable with the basic forms. One popular adaptation among enthusiasts is to experiment with different types of stone. While the quartzite I used here offers a reliable, predictable fracture pattern, other materials such as basalt, obsidian, or even certain volcanic glasses can yield edges that are razor-thin and incredibly sharp, albeit more fragile. If you decide to venture into the realm of obsidian, be mindful that the shards can be extremely delicate and the edges can cut deeper than you anticipate, so extra caution with gloves and eye protection is essential. Another avenue to explore is the shape of the axe head itself. By adjusting the angle of the striking platform during knapping, you can create a more pronounced bevel, which in turn influences how the axe cuts through wood. A broader bevel can provide a sturdier, more durable head for heavy chopping, while a narrower bevel might offer a cleaner slice for finer work. The wooden handles also present a canvas for creativity. In this video I chose a straight, dense branch because it offered a natural balance and a comfortable grip. However, you can experiment with different species of wood to discover how each responds to carving and heat treatment. For instance, ash and elm have a natural elasticity that can absorb shock, making them ideal for tools that experience repeated impact. If you have access to a small fire pit, you can experiment with a gentle heat treatment known as fire hardening, where you slowly expose the handle to low flames for a short period. This process drives out moisture, slightly darkens the wood, and can increase its resistance to splintering. It's a technique that early humans likely discovered by trial and error, and it adds an extra layer of authenticity to your reconstructed tools. Speaking of authenticity, let's delve into the importance of natural binding methods. In the segment where I wrapped the cordage around the axe haft, I used inner bark fibers because they are strong, flexible, and readily available in many temperate forests. If you're in a region where cedar isn't abundant, you might turn to other sources such as birch bark, willow twine, or even animal sinew. Each material brings its own characteristics. Birch bark can be twisted into a tight, waterproof cord, while sinew offers a tensile strength that rivals modern synthetic fibers. When you soak the fibers before tying, they become more pliable, and as they dry, they contract, tightening the knot and creating a secure, self-reinforcing bond. This subtle science of swelling and shrinking is a reminder that ancient peoples were keen observers of natural processes, harnessing them without the need for modern adhesives. If you're watching this and feel inspired to try these techniques yourself, I encourage you to start small. A simple flake knife can be made with a modest piece of flint and a short twig for a handle. The process of creating a single edge, testing it on a piece of fruit or a soft vegetable, will give you immediate feedback on your technique. From there, you can scale up to larger projects like the axe we just assembled. Remember, the key is to respect the material, work patiently, and always prioritize safety. A protective glove, a sturdy eye shield, and a clear workspace are non-negotiable components of any successful flint knapping session. Now, let's shift our focus to the broader cultural implications of these tools. Archaeologists have long used wear patterns on stone tools to infer the daily activities of ancient peoples. Microscopic analysis can reveal whether a blade was primarily used for cutting meat, scraping hides, or woodworking. By recreating these tools and using them in controlled experiments, we can compare the wear we observe on our modern replicas with the archaeological record, offering fresh insights into how our ancestors lived. This practice, known as experimental archaeology, bridges the gap between past and present, allowing us to test hypotheses in a tangible way. When you hold a stone axe that you have shaped with your own hands, you become part of a lineage that stretches back tens of thousands of years, a living link in a chain of human ingenuity. Consider also the social dimension of tool making. In many prehistoric societies, the knowledge of how to fashion sharp edges was guarded, passed down through apprenticeships and communal gatherings. The act of teaching a novice to strike a stone correctly was not merely a transfer of technical skill. It was a rite of passage, a bonding experience that reinforced group cohesion. In modern times, we can recreate that communal spirit by gathering with friends, sharing materials, and swapping stories of successes and failures. A weekend workshop in the woods, where each participant brings a piece of stone and a branch, can become a laboratory of collective learning. The laughter that erupts when a chip flies unexpectedly, the quiet concentration when a perfect flake is removed, and the shared pride in the final product all echo the ancient gatherings that once took place around firelit circles. As we approach the conclusion of this episode, I want to reflect on the personal transformation that often accompanies this kind of hands-on work. I started this project with a curiosity about survival skills, but I quickly discovered a deeper connection to the natural world and to the people who walked these lands long before us. The tactile feedback of stone against stone, the scent of fresh pine sap, the rhythm of a heartbeat syncing with each strike all of these sensations ground us in a way that digital experiences rarely can. If you've ever felt detached from the physical world, I invite you to try a simple experiment. Spend an hour in a quiet forest, collect a piece of stone that catches your eye, and feel the weight of it in your hand. Observe its texture, its temperature, its potential. Let your mind wander to the countless generations that have handled similar stones, shaping them into tools that changed the course of human history. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What part of this process resonated most with you? Have you ever tried flintknapping, or is there another ancient craft you're eager to explore? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, stories, or questions. Your experiences enrich this community, and together we can build a repository of knowledge that benefits everyone who's curious about the past. If you found value in this deep dive into stone and wood, consider giving this video a thumbs up. A simple click helps the platform understand that content like this matters, allowing more people to discover the joys of primitive technology. And if you're ready to keep walking this path with me, click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss the next adventure. In the upcoming episode, we'll tackle fire making using friction methods, exploring the ancient art of creating flame from scratch. We'll compare bow drills, hand drills, and fire plow techniques, testing which method yields the quickest spark in damp conditions. The knowledge of fire not only provided warmth and protection, but also opened the door to cooking, metallurgy, and social gatherings around the hearth. I can't wait to share those experiments with you. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with a few practical tips for anyone looking to start their own tool-making practice. First, always start with a small, manageable piece of stone. It's easier to control the force and reduces the risk of injury. Second, keep a log of each strike you make, the angle, the force, the outcome. Over time, you'll notice patterns that help you refine your technique. Third, respect the environment. Take only what you need, avoid protected areas, and aim to leave the site as you found it. Practicing low-impact gathering ensures that future generations can also learn from these natural resources. Fourth, invest in a good pair of gloves made from durable material. They protect your hands from sharp shards and give you better grip. Finally, be patient with yourself. Mastery doesn't happen overnight, and every setback is an opportunity to learn more about the stone, the wood, and your own capabilities. As we close, I want to acknowledge the countless people whose research and dedication have made this kind of content possible. From archaeologists who painstakingly document wear patterns on ancient artifacts, To modern flintknappers who share their knowledge through workshops and online tutorials, their collective wisdom lights the path for newcomers like us. If you're inspired by their work, consider supporting local museums, attending talks, or even volunteering at archaeological digs. Direct involvement deepens your appreciation and contributes to the preservation of our shared heritage. In the silence of the forest after the final cut, as the sun begins to dip behind the canopy, I feel a quiet satisfaction that goes beyond the functional success of the tools. It's the knowledge that I've engaged with a process that shaped humanity's destiny, that I've honored the ingenuity of those who came before, and that I've added my own small chapter to an ongoing story of adaptation and creativity. The next time you pick up a modern hammer or a kitchen knife, remember that its lineage traces back to a chipped stone and a carved branch, forged by hands much like yours. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration of ancient toolmaking. Your curiosity fuels these experiments, and your engagement turns a solitary endeavor into a shared adventure. Until the next episode, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shaping the world around you with your own two hands. As the forest settles into the quiet hush of evening, the faint rustle of leaves becomes a gentle reminder that the world is still alive and waiting for the next curious hand to shape it. I find myself thinking about the countless generations that have stood in places just like this, feeling the same pulse of the earth beneath their feet, hearing the same crack of stone against stone, and tasting the same satisfaction of turning raw material into something purposeful. It is a humbling line that stretches across millennia, and it feels like an invitation to anyone watching to step into that ancient dialogue. When I first held the finished axe, its weight balanced perfectly between the carved wooden haft and the sharp stone head. I could almost hear the echo of an early hunter-gatherer's heartbeat. That moment is something I want you to experience too, not just as a spectator, but as a participant in a living tradition. If you've ever felt the urge to try your own flake knife, to test the limits of a handcrafted edge, or simply to sit by a fire and listen to the crackle of burning twine while you shape a piece of stone, now is the time. Drop a comment below sharing what tool you'd love to make, what material you're curious about, or even a story of a time you felt connected to the natural world in a similar way. Your experiences add layers to this collective exploration, and they help shape the direction of future videos. I've been reflecting on the science behind why stone tools were such a revolutionary breakthrough. The conchoidal fracture pattern of flint, chert, and quartzite allows a clean break, creating a sharp edge that can be retouched again and again. This property, combined with the relative abundance of suitable rocks in certain regions, gave early humans a reliable method for processing food, crafting other tools, and even defending themselves. Modern research shows that the very act of flintknapping engages both fine motor skills and cognitive planning, essentially training the brain to visualize a final shape before the first strike even lands. This blend of physical and mental discipline is why many contemporary practitioners describe the process as meditative, a kind of moving mindfulness that anchors them in the present moment. There's also a deeper cultural thread woven through these practices. Archaeologists have uncovered tiny wear patterns on ancient blades that tell stories of how they were used, whether for butchering game, scraping hides, or carving wood. Those microscopic marks are a language of use, a silent testimony to daily life that we can still read today. By recreating those tools, we are not merely performing a craft, we are decoding a language of the past, giving voice to hands that have long since turned to dust. It is a privilege to stand in that continuum, and it is a responsibility to treat the materials with respect, acknowledging that each stone and branch carries its own history. One of the most rewarding parts of this journey has been the community that has formed around these ancient techniques. I receive messages from people who have taken a simple flake knife and used it to carve wooden bowls, to whittle small figurines, or even to prepare meals while camping. Some have shared photos of their own axes, each bearing a unique signature of the makers, style different haft shapes, varying stone selections, and personal embellishments that turn a functional object into an expression of identity. Seeing those creations reminds me that the line between utility and art is often blurred, and that the act of making can be a deeply personal narrative. If any of these stories resonate with you, consider taking a small step forward. Gather a piece of suitable stone from a safe, legal location and give it a gentle test strike. Observe how it flakes, and imagine the possibilities that lie within that raw piece. Even if you never craft a full tool, the simple act of engaging with the material can spark curiosity and open doors to new skills. And if you do decide to go further, I'd love to see your progress. Tag me in your posts, or send a quick video clip of your first successful flake. The feedback loop we create together fuels the learning process for everyone involved. Looking ahead, there are several directions I'm excited to explore in upcoming episodes. One idea is to dive into the creation of a stone scraper, a tool that played a crucial role in hide preparation and woodworking. Another possibility is to examine the use of natural adhesives, how early humans combined plant resins, animal sinew, and other binders to secure stone points onto shafts, effectively inventing the first composite tools. There's also a fascination with fire-making techniques that rely solely on stone and wood, such as the flint and steel method, though we'll keep the focus on truly primitive methods that exclude any modern metal. If any of these topics spark your interest, let me know in the comments, and I'll prioritize the ones that get the most enthusiasm. In the meantime, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the behind-the-scenes effort that makes each video possible. From the careful planning of each shot to the meticulous editing that highlights the most instructive moments, there's a team of dedicated individuals who share a love for this craft. Their patience, expertise, and willingness to get their hands dirty, sometimes literally, ensure that the final product is both educational and engaging. If you appreciate the quality of the content and feel moved to support the channel in a small way, consider hitting the like button, sharing the video with friends who might enjoy a glimpse into ancient technology, or simply subscribing so you never miss a future exploration. Your subtle actions help sustain a space where curiosity can thrive without the pressure of commercial noise. There's a particular joy in returning to the forest after a day of work, feeling the cool air settle on your skin and hearing the distant call of a night bird. It's in those quiet moments that the tools we've made become more than objects. They become extensions of ourselves, embodiments of patience, focus, and respect for the natural world. When I take the axe and swing it through a fallen log, I hear a satisfying thud that reverberates through the trees, a reminder that even in a modern age, we can still harness the same principles that once allowed humanity to thrive across continents. The knife, when used to slice a fresh piece of fruit or to carve a simple wooden spoon, offers a tactile connection to the act of creation that no digital interface can replicate. I also want to touch on the mental health benefits that often accompany hands-on crafts like this. Engaging in a focused, repetitive activity can lower stress levels, improve concentration, and foster a sense of accomplishment that carries over into other areas of life. The rhythmic pattern of striking stone, the careful carving of wood, and the deliberate assembly of components all serve as a form of active meditation. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the pace of modern life, consider setting aside a small block of time each week to work with natural materials. Even a brief session of shaping a simple flake can provide a grounding experience, helping you reset and refocus. As we wrap up this segment, I'm reminded of a quote from a renowned anthropologist who once said that the tools we make are extensions of our minds, shaping not only the world around us, but also the way we think. In a sense, every strike we deliver on a stone, every notch we carve into a branch, and every knot we tie with natural cordage reflects an internal dialogue about problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. By sharing these moments on screen, I hope to inspire a broader conversation about how ancient wisdom can inform contemporary living, encouraging us all to be more resourceful, more connected, and more mindful. Before I sign off, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to each of you who has taken the time to watch, comment, and engage with this journey. Your curiosity fuels the fire that drives these experiments, turning solitary endeavors into shared adventures that span continents and epochs. If you found value in today's exploration, consider leaving a comment with your thoughts, asking a question, or suggesting a new tool you'd like to see tackled next. Your voice shapes the direction of this channel, and together we can build a community that celebrates both the old and the new. Until we meet again in the next forest clearing, keep your eyes open for the hidden potential in the stones and branches around you. Remember that every tool begins as a simple idea, a spark of imagination, and a willingness to work with what nature provides. With patience and practice, you too can turn a piece of rock into a blade that cuts, a branch into a handle that steadies, and a moment of curiosity into a lasting skill. Stay curious, stay respectful of the environment, and let the ancient art of tool-making continue to inspire you in ways you never imagined. Keep shaping, keep learning, and keep sharing this journey with the world. Now that the axe and knife have taken shape, I want you to picture that moment when the first spark of the flint hits the stone and a clean, bright chip flies off. That instant is more than just a physical reaction. It's a reminder that every small breakthrough in our lives begins with a single, deliberate action. When you hold the finished axe in your hands, feel the weight of the wood, the texture of the stone edge, and the subtle vibration of the handle. You are literally touching the legacy of countless generations who learned to adapt, improvise, and survive with nothing but what the earth offered. Think about the first time you ever learned to ride a bike or solve a puzzle. The frustration of missed attempts, the patience required to practice, and the exhilaration of finally getting it right are the same emotions that echo through the ancient workshops of our forebears. In the same way, each strike you make on a piece of quartzite or each notch you carve into a branch is a meditation, a dialogue between mind and material. If you've ever felt stuck in a routine, try visualizing yourself back in that forest clearing with only a pocket knife, a piece of rope, and a stone. What would you create? What problem would you solve? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share a memory of a time when a simple tool changed the course of your day or sparked a new idea. As we wind down, let's reflect on the broader implications of this practice. By learning to make tools from scratch, we reconnect with a sense of self-reliance that modern conveniences often dull. It reminds us that we are not merely consumers of manufactured objects, but also make us capable of shaping our environment when needed. This mindset can translate into everyday life, approaching a challenging project at work with the same curiosity you bring to flintknapping, or handling a personal obstacle with the steady patience required to whittle a handle. The ancient art of tool-making becomes a metaphor for creative problem-solving, encouraging us to look for resources in places we might otherwise overlook. If you're inspired by what you've seen today, consider giving yourself a small experiment this weekend. Find a safe spot in a local park, locate a piece of flint or a smooth stone, and try to detach a tiny flake. You don't need a perfect blade, just the experience of feeling the stone give way under your controlled strike. Pair it with a simple wooden splint and see if you can fashion a rudimentary cutting edge. Document the process with a phone camera and share the clip in the community tab or on social media with the hashtag #AncientCraft. Seeing how each of us interprets the same ancient technique can spark a vibrant conversation about technique, safety, and the joy of learning by doing. Before we part, I want to acknowledge the countless creators, researchers, and enthusiasts who have kept this knowledge alive through books, museums, and online tutorials. Their dedication provides us with the foundation to experiment responsibly and respectfully. If you found value in today's journey, a quick tap on the like button helps the algorithm recognize that this kind of content resonates with you, and it encourages me to keep exploring more primitive skills. It also signals to other curious minds that there's a space here for hands-on learning and thoughtful discussion. Lastly, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you won't miss the next deep dive into ancient technologies. Upcoming episodes will explore firemaking without matches, constructing a simple shelter from natural materials, and even testing how effective these stone tools are in real-world tasks like skinning and butchering. Your support fuels the research, travel, and time spent gathering materials, and it builds a community where we can all grow together. So, as the sun sets over the trees and the forest quiets, remember that the next time you pick up a modern gadget, there's a timeless skill waiting in the back of your mind, ready to be revived with a stone, a branch, and a spark of curiosity. Keep experimenting, stay safe, respect the environment, and let the ancient spirit of craftsmanship guide you forward. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. I can't wait to see what you create next. Stay curious, stay resilient, and see you in the next clearing.